understand like, hey, I love this, even though it's hard. And even though I get heartbroken sometimes, it's worth it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Cain.
And I'm Danny Arovich.
Together, we're your hosts for Making It to Milan.
Let's jump in.
I'm thrilled to be here with an absolute legend, Kristi Yamaguchi. She is a 1992 Olympic champion, 2-time world champion, and 3-time U.S. champion in figure skating. She is an author of 5 books and the founder of Always Dream. Kristi, we're so honored to have you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ashley. I'm honored to be on. Thank you.
We're going to go into some rapid fire questions to start. What's one word that comes to mind when I say Olympics?
National pride. I know that's 2, but...
When you were competing, what's the first thing you would want to eat or drink after a major competition?
I think back in those days, probably chicken wings.
That's great. That's a new one. Everybody's been like wine and cheese or pizza, so chicken wings. When you were competing, what's one word that would describe your training routine?
Consistent.
Hardest part about being an Olympian that maybe nobody sees?
Probably just the decades of preparation before.
So I know you started skating at a very young age as part of physical therapy. Can you tell us why that was?
I mean, it kind of worked as physical therapy. I mean, it really started because it just looked interesting and fun. But I had very severely turned in feet when I was born. Wore casts on my both legs for the first 18 months of my life, and then had braces. So had a lot of corrections done with my legs. You know, skating was great activity for coordination and strength, and it was fun. So
was there a point that you realized it was something you wanted to really pursue?
I just loved it from the beginning. One of the things was seeing an ice show, and that was at the local rink where I started, Southland in Hayward. And they put on like incredibly professional shows for a little local rink. They brought in professional skaters who were actually performing on like ice capades and ice volleys. The local kids, we rehearsed for weeks and weeks for this show. They were great production numbers and, of course, magical for a 6-year-old, right? Seeing the costumes, the lighting and everything. So right away, I loved it. Ultimately wanted to be a show skater. That was my big dream. It probably wasn't until a few years later where I realized like, oh, okay, I think you got to compete and make a name for yourself before you're invited to be in an ice show.
That's how I always felt watching Stars on Ice, because it would come through Dallas quite a bit since it was a big city to do. I was always so inspired by those athletes. We would watch the practices. Growing up, watching those show skaters was a huge part of like my start to my career. I hope that there can be more shows that kids will have access to see these athletes. As a young kid in the sport, it can be hard to stay disciplined with so many outside factors. How were you able to balance skating with school, family, and just being a kid?
I think it was good being young and having energy. Looking back, I have no idea how I did it. I had pretty grounded upbringing family, right? It was just, I had 2 siblings, an older sister, younger brother. So, we all had our roles and responsibilities at home, so there were expectations there, but throwing skating into the mix, it was like, oh, okay, in order to skate, my parents were like, well, you have to keep your grades up. So yes, finding the time to study and make sure there's attention there. So a lot of homework in the car, going back and forth to the rink, just finding like every single minute of the day, right? Taking advantage of that. But I look back and I think it was such a great lesson in prioritizing and just budgeting time and energy. I mean, I think, as young athletes, no matter what sport you're in, you learn that right away because you are balancing so many different things.
It's like one of the biggest lessons I feel like skating teaches us is time management and scheduling. I always found you talked about those car rides, like that was an integral part of my training day, I would say, because I would always do schoolwork in the car. You were very similar to me. I started out skating in both singles and pairs. And for me, you were a huge inspiration. Like as a young kid coming up in the sport, I was able to see that it was possible because you did it. And so many people spoke to your journey of doing it and how you made it possible. Eventually, I chose to just do pairs and you actually made the opposite decision. So could you first speak about your partnership that you had with Rudy? I mean, you two were such powerhouses. I feel like even when you watch videos now, I'm like, they could compete with all the pairs that are competing right now. You two are just so powerhouses of your time.
Yeah, it's fun. We do have very similar skating competitive history. And what worked for us as a pair team is that we were both very strong single skaters. You know, we kind of got together. I was 11, he was 13. He had just won novice men's national title. I was kind of no one still, but just coming up. We were just tiny, cute little skaters at the rink. And they're like, oh, you two should skate together. It'd be so cute. So we did it for fun, but because we were both pretty strong single skaters already, things progressed and, you know, our partnership clicked. So we were having fun and found success pretty quickly, you know, and continued on. I don't think we ever anticipated we would become U.S. national champions.
I feel like they really go hand in hand. The other one made the other one stronger. Was there anything that inspired you to then eventually make the decision to go into solo skating?
I had always been a solo skater, you know, had the pair partnership. You know, we had come fifth in the world for the second year, and looking at who was in front of us, it was just like, we're not breaking in. You know, our partnership had kind of evolved and gone through changes, gone through some hardships. Our goals started to be different, and that's hard. You know, when you both start to have different goals, different priorities, it was hard to keep it going. Actually, at the 1990 World Championships, Halifax, Canada, I was actually approached by an ISU official after the competition. You know, they saw me struggle in both events because I literally competed 5 days in a row.
Oh my gosh.
They're like, you know, you can't keep this up. You've done amazing. And at the level you're at now, you can go further if you choose one or the other. And we really feel you need to choose singles. And it was like a dagger to my heart because, you know, Rudy and I thought, oh, we're going to be like Ty and Randy and skate forever together. It was hard. We grew up together and it was like going through a major breakup. But ultimately, I knew it was the right decision. I was so proud and happy to watch Rudy go on and win his national title and world bronze medal as a single skater. And you know, it allowed me to focus for, you know, 2 years before 92 on singles and have that energy to really take it to the next level.
From making that decision, you were able to become the first Asian American to win gold at a Winter Olympic Games. How do you feel now when you see athletes like Chloe Kim, Alyssa Liu, and Nathan Chen competing at the Olympic level?
I always feel like I'm looking out and cheering for fellow Asian Americans and in all sports. You know, I didn't know I was the first Asian American to win a winter gold. I don't know. It probably was maybe years later when someone brought it up. I was like, oh, really? I didn't know. I mean, I look back and it's like, well, it's kind of cool to, you know, be seen as the first, but the talent was always there and it was just a matter of time.
Looking back on 1992, a pivotal year for you, who in your life was there to support you on good days or bad, and how did they support you?
I mean, I felt so lucky to be training in such an amazing, high caliber environment up in Edmonton, Canada, and amazing support group and friend group of international high level skaters. But I mean, obviously in skating, right, it's an individual sport. And I think you always have to have that special relationship with your coach. So Christy Ness for sure was my everyday, you know, had my back. I knew the support was there. We had the same goals. Really, I had been training with her and her pupils since I was 9 years old. There was a really deep connection and, you know, mutual respect. And that's so needed when you go out and step on the ice at the Olympics.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, we have a very special guest here who has been that big source of support for you. So welcome your coach, Christy Ness. Christy, what was it like to be alongside Christy in her journey?
Well, it changes. It's just like being, in some ways, it's like seeing a child grow up. I mean, she started out, when I first coached her, she was a cute little girl and lots of enthusiasm. But one thing she never lost was her ability to listen. The other thing that was really different about Christy is when you gave her a lesson, and you gave her things to work on, things would come back better. She didn't need another lesson to get it better. She would come back with something fixed. And that idea of, you know, doing homework is, I think it's gone a lot, you know. But anyway, that's a special thing with her. So for me to be at the Olympics with her seemed like a natural progression in so many ways.
Mhm.
And I think that's one thing also at the Olympic Games, to keep things as normal as possible. You always go back to basics in coaching and in skating, and you go back to your basics, you go back to what's made you good, and you stay as normal as you can in the build up to the Olympics.
Did you always have a sense that she was going to be a champion?
No, not at all. Once in a while, you may think that, but kids change. Their bodies change. Their likes and dislikes change. How do you know who's going to the Olympic Games? You don't really always know that as a coach. I've seen coaches go up to parents saying, oh, your child's going to go to the Olympic Games. Well, that's fine to say, but it can be a lot of hot air too.
Was there a way that you supported her after rough training days or a rough competition?
I was very lucky because Christy's parents never turned around and blamed me. You see, some parents say, well, why didn't you say this? They never blamed me. And so it was never what anybody did wrong. And so we were just trying to work, as Christy said, we were working on the same goals. We were trying to work together. And she did have some rough competitions. The roughest one was probably Minneapolis Nationals. She was going to win, the television networks were all over her, interview. What are you going to say? What are you going to do? And then when she didn't win, I saw him walk right by her. That was a good lesson. She turned around a month later and won Worlds. And I think it spurred her on. I think it made her training even stronger. But what do you do when you give it all you've got and it's not enough? You try to pick up and go on from there.
Did you have any words of encouragement for her or anything that pumped her up before she competed?
You try to rely on your training. You have to have faith in your training. You have to have faith that you've done what you can do. You've done the best you can do. And then it's just to go out and duplicate. Remember, skating is a rehearsal sport. It can be rehearsed. It's completely rehearsed. It's not like football where you don't know who's going to tackle you or you don't know where they're going to come from. So it's up to you to rehearse that so you can do it.
When you look back on the trajectory of women's sports, what are your thoughts on how it's changed in terms of equity and representation?
The 3 women that we have going for the Olympic Games to the U.S. is an example of a diversity. I mean, they're all different styles, different jumps, different backgrounds, completely different. They're not cookie cutter. These certainly are not little girls in pretty boxes. You can't put these girls in boxes, And could you ever? I don't know. That was just Joan Ryan's book. But they're diverse and they're pushing, and I hope other girls see that.
I want to say a huge thank you to you, Christy Ness. We're going to continue the interview with Christy.
Oh, it was fun. Thank you so much.
And you've been very involved in philanthropy, especially through Always Dream. What inspired you to start Always Dream?
I'd always wanted to work with children. I was busy touring right after the Olympics, but starting to get involved in the community a little bit more. And Make-A-Wish Foundation was the beneficiary for Stars on Ice. For the first several years I was on the tour, and having that hands-on interaction and experience within a nonprofit organization, it was eye-opening. It motivated me to do more. Or want to do more. I had the support to go after my dreams. I had the encouragement. I wanted to be that for another kid out there. That's what we've always been about. And, lately, since about 2012, we've done that through early literacy, knowing that education really is the foundation to success in life in whatever dreams you may have.
And you're the mother of 2 girls. What are your hopes for girls like them when you think of Always Dream's work to expand literacy?
My girls were very much a part of our focus being turned towards literacy. They were about, 2 and 4 when our focus turned to literacy because, becoming a mom, reading to them every night, seeing the impact and how much they developed that love of books and love of reading early on before they even started kindergarten. We saw firsthand how critical those early years were to get them reading, to read to them. To this day, they are both avid readers, amazing writers, much better writers than me. And I absolutely contribute that to them having been read to often. But a lot of kids don't have that. Low-income families don't have access to books at home. So we want to provide that and, make sure that every little girl, every little boy has the resources to have a bedtime story every night and, develop that love of books, love of reading so that they can grow up and dream whatever they want. As a thank you for tuning in, I'm giving away a signed copy of my book, Dream Big Little Pig, and my Barbie doll featuring my outfit from the 1992 Olympics. To enter, like and share this post, and then subscribe to the mailing list for Flame Bearers and Always Dream.
You have been a huge role model for not just myself, but for so many people within our sport throughout so many different communities. You're sharing so much with the world. What I find is you're still so involved in the skating community, which is beautiful to see. I see your face at so many different events, which has been really inspiring throughout my career to look out and see you and to feel support from other athletes that have gone through the same thing that I have. What advice would you give to young women athletes that are training for their first Olympics?
It's a process, right? And there's ups and downs, and there's times when you doubt yourself or what you're doing or why you're doing it. But those are all good questions, because understand, like, hey, I love this, even though it's hard. And even though I get heartbroken sometimes, it's worth it. It's just finding that strength and the resilience to know you're getting stronger because of those struggles. I actually found an old telegram. You guys are too young to know what these are. It was before there was texting. At 92 Olympics, we got telegrams. So I found actually a telegram from Brian Boitano. Obviously, he was a huge mentor, idol of mine. And he said, soak it all in. This is a rare moment that comes very few times in a lifetime. Enjoy it. Know that these memories will be with you for a long time. And then he kind of ended up, he's like, you're going to be a great champion. And, I hadn't won yet, but,
But he knew.
Maybe, but then it's also, no matter what happens, you're a champion when you're at the Olympics. You do your best, and you're representing so many things out there. Whether you win or not, be a champion in life.
Thinking back to young Christy in 1992, what advice would you give to your younger self in that moment?
Enjoy it. It's so fleeting, right? And you look back and it's like, wow, like, I wish I was really more present in those moments.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you the best of luck with everything that you are doing. And thank you so much for sharing your love and your support for the skating community and with us today. So thank you for joining us, Christy.
Oh, thank you, Ashley. So great to talk to you and catch up. And I'm sure I'll see you somewhere down the line at a skating event.
Definitely. It means a lot. It means I've been inspired by you in so many things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into Flame Bearers Making It to Milan. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, and subscribe to Flame Bearers on YouTube and anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. Stay tuned as we bring you more behind-the-scenes stories of women athletes around the world training for the competition of a lifetime. See you next time on Making It to Milan.